Oh, I thought I'd just do a little recording here of FlyJSim goofing around with the 737-200. I'm sitting here, just fired up X-Plane 10 and loaded the plane. I'm sitting here right now in Innsbruck on the runway. I'm basically a cold and dark plane, and it's really kind of cool. You can just use the right mouse button and scroll around the cockpit. It looks really, really nice. The overhead is just, well laid out. Uh, really beautiful looking. You get X-plane, you get the little glints of, shining light off of the knobs and the switches. Um, you scroll around, you see the co-pilot side of the cockpit there, down onto the floor, center pedestal. It's really fluid. Kind of looking out the left-hand window here, up on the overhead, eyebrow panels. I'm just moving this around with my hand on the mouse here. Yeah, it's really nice. In addition here, they basically, well, once you're in here, you can also use the mouse wheel to kind of, scroll forward, zoom up on stuff, so get a really nice view of your instruments. And I mean, that is just totally clear. HSI and stuff. If you don't like the yoke being in the way, they give you these little 4 menu options over on the left hand side here. The first one, INS, is basically just telling you about this SIVA for X-Plane add-on so that you can have an INS. I don't have this installed right now. Above that is a button called OP, or OP. If I click on that, this is the options screen. It tells you basically you can start cold and dark or engines running, time and Zulu, hide yokes. So if I click on this, you see the yoke just disappeared down here, or you can leave it there. You can choose to have your weights in kilograms or leave it in pounds. You can quickly connect ground power or an air cart here by checking these buttons. This is also gives you some control over your exterior sound volume and internal sound volume for the sim. It says field of view is best at 75. I have mine set to 75, but you can change the field of view right there. And then there's a pushback button to push back from the gate. So that's the options button there. There's another one over here called WinB, which is weight and balance, the weight and balance manager. And here you can change your fuel load per tank. I got 0 in the center tank right now. I could, add to the center tank by percentage. Just kind of load up. Put like another 4,000 pounds in there or something. You can also set it really quickly to fuel full, empty. I'm not sure what the R does. Let's see. Well, pardon me, I guess you can't set that there. I'm not sure what that does yet. I haven't looked at it yet. You got your cargo, forward and aft. You can modify that. It gives you your weight and balance here, right here. Empty weight, passenger weight, 0 fuel weight, gross weight. Doesn't tell you your CG here. Oh yeah, CG is down here. Center of gravity 20.82% of Mach, and kind of shows you where you sit within the legal range. It tells you an optimum altitude, your max takeoff and landing weights, and max 0 fuel weights. So really cool weight and balance manager that you can quickly use to get yourself set up. And once you've got that set up, then you get this V card. And the V card automatically sets the, tells you what your normal power EPR setting is going to be, your N1. It also shows you your V speeds, and they're calculated for you. It says flaps 2, and you know, it's got the flap retract max speeds in the V card. And this is old school. This is how, you know, I used to do it in the P3s. We'd have this kind of pasted up on the dashboard. Also gives you your landing VREF speed and bug settings. When you do this, if you notice here, looking at the airspeed indicator, you'll see the bugs for your V1, VR, and V2 speeds. And there's the 80 knot call out speed. But as I switch over to landing, you see how it changes to show the ref speed at 132 there. So that's pretty cool. So you don't really have to do anything to set your speeds. You're just bugging basically the airspeed gauge with the V card. So I'm going to leave the V card kind of sitting down here. I'll turn that off. So that's cool. I'll zoom back out here. Now on the keyboard, you can use the numpad for quick views. So if I go and hit 4, it kind of brings me to the default forward-looking out of cockpit view here. But there's 1, brings you down to the center panel. 2 backs up to the pedestal. 3 right down onto the radio panel. 4 is up onto the pilot side. 5 goes right into the middle, into the instrument gauge, engine gauges. 6 going right across the keyboard goes over to the co-pilot side. I can go up to 7 and go up to the lower portion of the forward overhead. 8 gives me the upper portion of it, and 9 gives me the aft overhead. So really quick maneuvering back and forth of the views with the keyboard shortcuts. So it's like perfect for the virtual cockpit setup on the desktop. So really handy when you're flying and I want to start engines, so I can just jump right over to the engine gauges here, and the gauges are really clear. So what I'm going to do real quick here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to follow any checklists or anything, but kind of just really quick style. I'm going to get this APU and everything up and running. So I'm going to go up to the overhead, and I'm going to just switch on a fuel pump. I guess I got to go up, so I'm hitting the 8 key to go up. Get the battery turned on, close the guard there, and coming down to back to 7 brings me to the lower portion of the overhead here, and close up some guards. I can reach down for the APU switch here, and I go ahead and click it, and then it gives you a little down arrow. It's a momentary toggle, and I'm going to hold that, and we'll get the APU started up. You can see the gauge winding up over here. You do get a little click sound feedback when you're flipping a switch. I'll turn the strobes on over here. And anti-collision and position lights. The APU is coming up here. Really nice and fluid on the needle. And there's the APU generator. Off bus light just came on, so now I can go ahead and see the backlighting just came on in the whole panel, and basically full power now to the panel. So I'll go ahead and switch all my fuel pumps on here. Come up here, make sure yaw damper's on, galley power, turn on my window heat. Another hydraulic pump on, gas per fan, moving on down the overhead panel. Tell the passengers to get in their there we go. Fasten seatbelts. We'll open up the APU bleed, and we'll see the gauge come up over here on the bleed. And again, I can zoom with the mouse, and I can move around if I want. Hitting the number on the numpad just sets me back to the standard view. So I got APU bleed on there. Open up the isolation valve. Guess I'm on open there. I thought, it seems like it should be one more, but that's okay. I'll leave it right there. And so with all that running here, I'm going to come down to the, then aft overhead, there's really nothing to set up here. It's just a radio. So we don't have to do GPS positioning or anything. There's no CDUs. So coming back down here, center panel, we got the master caution light on. Go down, make sure the parking brake is set. Parking brake is set. Fuel cutoff valves are closed. There's the takeoff config warning. We can come down here to the pedestal and do a quick fire warning system checks. Cargo panel. Back up here, you can check your master caution lights, recall indicators. Really nice MCP, we'll get into that in a minute. Let's go ahead and start some engines up now. So I'm going to go down or up to the overhead panel here. Whoops. And I will go ahead and switch this engine start to ground over here. We'll come down here and we could see that N2 down here on engine 1 is rising. There it's at 15. There's 20. I'll come down, introduce fuel at the cutoff valve. You can see the exhaust gas temperature rising up. N1 on the rise. You got fuel flow down here. You got your oil pressure starting to come up. Oil pressure's out of the yellow now, going into the green over here. And it looks like we've got stabilized engine. I can pop up here to the overhead, switch on to that generator. I suppose if I wanted, I could come up. These are really nice gauges too. I go to transformer rectifier number 1. You can get the DC reading on that. 2 and then 3. That seems like a bug. I guess it should go down on 3. We don't have 3 started right now. There's generator 2 is not showing any AC voltage, but generator 1 is. So we'll come up here and we will start up. Let's start up number 2. There we go. Back to the gauges. Watching N2 right here. It's about 15. There's 20. Introduce fuel. There's the exhaust gas temperature rise, fuel flow. N1's rising. Got rising oil pressure. Got the low oil pressure light on right now, and as soon as it gets out of the caution range, that light should extinguish. Meanwhile, N2 is rising up. Exhaust gas temperature is stabilizing. Oil pressure light went out, and the temperature on the oil is coming up here. But it looks like we got a nice stabilized start there, so we can go up and go up to the overhead panel here, turn on that, get our bleeds on, turn off the APU bleed, get the isolation valve set to auto, and get the packs turned on. I'll run up and turn on my pitot heat. Since we're on the runway, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my lights. We'll secure the APU. There it goes, coming off. Exhaust temperature's going down. And let's see, altitude is set at 8,000 feet right now. I don't have the real pressure altitude dialed in. I'm just going to take off. But with the altitude down here set at 8,000, oops, I'm still getting used to which key is what on here, so I apologize for the quick jumping around. I'm going to go ahead and set our heading to the runway heading of 26. I'm going to just go up here to the heading indicator, and you can just slide on it back and forth to change it. So if I slide to the left here, sliding to 260, and you can also see the bug down here. I'll show you the bug. And the HSI is bugged to 26. And if you change the course, you can see how nicely the HSI moves here. If we had a course dialed in, you can also use the course knob here. You can use the heading bug knob here. Just move it back and forth. Really easy in this sim. So we're all bugged. Everything's set. I'll go ahead and get 2 notches of flaps put in. Whoops, I just bumped the camera. Sorry about that. So I'm just hitting the flap switch over on the